Hello,
How are you? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Honored to be here and join you today.
Oh, I'm really happy that you've said yeah, you come do it. It's
Okay.
nice to see as well. It's nice to actually talk to you because we've done lives, haven't we? And I've just been typing, so it's
I know.
actually good to see
I
your
know.
face.
Physically, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I heard you went out last night to see the new Halloween Ends.
I did. I went last night with a buddy of mine that I think you know as well, Marcus Slavine, a talented filmmaker,
Yeah,
and
we were.
went to see it opening night.
Yeah, he told me what he thought.
Have you seen it too, or no?
I don't think I want to.
I hear you.
But we'll see. But I've not seen Terrifier 2 yet, so
Oh
I
boy.
know
Okay.
I know a little bit, but no spoilers.
I'll make sure no spoilers. Good. Thank you for letting me know.
You're welcome. I'm hopefully seeing it soon though, so fingers crossed. But yeah, congratulations though. It's done amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. I just found out this morning, just got it that Stephen King just tweeted it and asked if anybody has seen it. Looks good. So that's just unbelievable.
Oh, that is so awesome. But everyone's flipping out.
I know. It's just so bizarre. I mean, listen, we knew we were making something, cool and fun and exciting, and we were putting our all into it. And we always hope it's going to be good, but you don't know how the audience or anybody's going to respond to it. And then all of a sudden, it finally, after 3 years, it comes out and it's going exactly really better than we could ever dream of and hope.
Yeah. I'm floored how well it's done. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was going to do amazing anyway, because I did an interview with David last March. Yeah, it was 2021. Yeah, last March. And we thought it was coming out in October, and it was getting quite a lot of hype even a year ago. And I was like, oh, and then it got, because of everything that's going on in the world, it's like, oh, no, have to wait another year. It's like,
I
but
know, but look how fast it came. We're finally here.
I know when you've got extended in the cinemas, I'm like, yes, this is what I want. I'm so happy for you guys.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's every day. It's like Christmas. We're like seeing new things, new tweets, new comments, and it's just unbelievable. I got a call this morning also from a really big radio station here in New York called Z100, Elvis Duran in the Morning Show, and they were talking about it, and they wanted to get me on to talk about it. So it's just really just it's just kind of snowballing, and everyone's talking about it, the word of mouth, and it just goes to show that if you make something that you believe in and you make a good movie that that fellow horror fans hopefully will enjoy because you pour your heart and soul into it and you just stick to that, things can happen. So
Yeah, definitely. I've got a feeling, and I will get to some of these questions, but I've got a feeling Stream's going to be sort of in the same spectrum.
I
We're,
hope, we hope, obviously, actually working on it as we speak right now, getting it in its final places. And it's again the same thing, same crew. Everybody from Terrifier 2 came over and did Stream right after. And it was funny because Damien was running and doing the effects on Stream and then going into his room and editing Terrifier 2 and then coming back out. So it was really same organic crew happening at the same time. And again, it's one of those movies that we're really putting our all into our heart. I mean, that's the only way we know how to make films, is really just go 110%. And I hope now that because people have seen Terrifier 2, know what we're capable of, and there'll be more eyes to be on the lookout for it.
I think so. You're definitely making waves. You're seeing things even come up in British stuff, which usually you don't really see anything.
Right.
This film's making people pass out and be sick, and I'm like,
It's crazy, right? I know. And it's just, that's a real big testament to Damien Leone. I mean, he is unbelievable when it comes to the special effects. The man knows horror. He studies horror. He's a student of horror. And he's one of the most, talented, sharp guys that I've ever been around, filmmakers that I've ever been around. And I'm honored to call him a friend now. And, for my own personal directing style and even my acting, I took so much learning from him, just to see how he operates and how he works. And his work ethic is second to none. I mean, he is just going. And it's really a treat to see in person.
yeah, it would be nice when it's all everything's calmed down a little bit and you can get some sleep, bless his heart. You must be exhausted.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, it's hard to get in touch with him now because he's so busy and everybody's like, but then by the end of the day or whenever he gets a chance, he always, calls me back or text or, and he's really, listen, he's hasn't changed. This whole thing is blown up and he still is just humble and as gracious as ever.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he's done for the special effects on stream. To be honest, I
Yeah.
think it's going to be awesome. I've seen obviously the behind the scenes stuff that you post up yourself, and you see like
You see
the
little things here and there, and we're trying to keep as much as we can secret, and no, we don't want to spoil anything. And I know I'm very happy with the effects on stream and the kills on stream. They're different, they're unique, they're fun, they're Damien Leone style. And Damien also I know is very happy with them. And again, we tried very hard to make sure that we're not doing the same thing that we did with Terrifier or Terrifier 2. We wanted to make sure it's a different movie, and that's what we hope when people go to see stream, that they say, okay, I'm going to see a movie from this production company, from this group of people, that isn't Terrifier or Terrifier 3 or 2 or whatever, so as long as people, I think, have that in their mind, I think they can really enjoy and let go and have a good time, because I think it's a fun story. We have David Howard Thornton in it. It might not be Art the Clown, but we have David Howard Thornton in it. And we have a ton, as you know, really amazing horror legends, icons, talent. And then we have some really new up and coming talent and people that have been around the business that haven't been discovered yet. And I think the audiences are really going to connect, especially with our family, with Wesley Holloway, who is our little lead young son. He does incredible job, tremendous job in the film. And he actually is in Terrifier 2 as well. He's the dead kid with the eyes.
Yeah.
And that's where we met him, on that set. And then also Charles Edwin Powell plays Roy Keenan, and his performance, I mean, both of them just knock it out of the park. And I think they're going to become favorites of the horror community for sure when this thing is all said and done.
Awesome. I can't wait to see it. So I was actually going to ask you, could you give us a brief plot, like the plot of Stream, just for people who don't know anything about it or
Sure.
anything like that?
Sure, I'll try my best to do it. So, in the grand scheme of things, Stream is a story about a family. It's a struggling family. Like, we all have our problems in our families, and the father decides that let's try to make ourselves whole again. Let's kind of go on this trip, relive this great memory that we had from our past. It's kind of like the Vacation movie where Chevy Chase takes his family to Wally World because he feels them drifting apart. He says, yeah, let's relive this vacation from the past. It was the last time that he can remember that everybody was happy. And, so he decides to do that. And they go to this hotel, this resort that they had once been to. And the resort is no longer quaint, and it's no longer what they had remembered it being. And it's a lot more modernization. It's a lot, upgrades and stuff, and it's under new management. And, lo and behold, again, I don't want to give any spoilers, there were 4 serial killers that are released into the hotel as it's shut down. And they're competing to hunt down all of the guests and, kill them off one by one in different creative ways. Now, there's a reason why they're doing it creatively. There's a reason why there's a competition. It goes into detail. But again, it kind of opened up a lot of avenues for us, the way the storyline unfolds. In that, certain horror films, it's always like, oh, why are they going so much with these kills, right? Or, oh, why is it happening so drawn out? They could have just done it this way and now they got away. It's because that piece of it is essential to the story and gives a realism as to why this is happening. And again, instead of rooting for or liking one killer, you have 4 that you can kind of attach to and see maybe which one your style is. And hopefully people like different ones for different reasons. So Roy has to fight for his life and also the life of his family. And Danielle Harris plays his wife, and Sydney Malakay plays the daughter. So it's the 4 of them with Wesley Holloway. And they go on this little adventure, kind of uncovering the dark secrets of the dark web and other stuff like that, all while having your traditional slasher modernized.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit about, because that was my one thing. I was like, oh, I want to know more about the killers. And I know you can't give us like their backstory or anything, but could you tell us a little bit of like their development, how they are personality, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So we studied a lot of horror films. I mean, I love horror movies, obviously, for years, and I've always said, okay, what kind of makes these killers so attractive, and what works. So we try to really distinguish each and every one of them in different ways. You have your kind of Michael Myers-esque stalking, slow kind of killer. You have your big brute Jason Voorhees or Leatherface kind of killer. You have your kind of playful, maybe Art the Clown, Freddy Krueger. And that's kind of how we kind of approach them all. Whereas we said, okay, let's give them kind of personalities that we're all used to, but then kind of put our own little twist on them as well, so that we make them unique and we make them our own. So each killer has pieces of killers' personalities or styles that have worked in the past, and then we kind of given them through our writing, and then also through the actors who are portraying them, their own special, unique feel and character. I will say one thing though, even though there are 4 distinct killers and you can tell them all clearly apart, we call them players in our film, 1, 2, 3, and 4. They all have the same mask. So it's one iconic, universal looking, I don't want to use the word iconic because it's, it's not that. I mean, at least not yet, we hope, right? But this one universal mask that they adapt customly through their own personality to kind of fit their persona. So, I hope it's something that everyone will kind of jump behind and get on board with. I know I'm really excited about it. I know as a horror fan, I would love to see a film like this. We tried to, again, keep it different and fresh, and we tried to say, how can we modernize the slasher genre and bring it into the 21st century? And I think this is a really cool and unique way to do that.
Yeah, I agree. They do look really iconic in their own way. And I was thinking that because your brothers don't have, is it player 1?
He is.
Right? Yeah, did I remember right? And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And that's the other thing as well. I love that you guys all work with each other, because you build up that chemistry, and you know how each other works as well. So I think it's really interesting, unique.
We've been doing it for years, and that's kind of that cohesion comes together because you trust each other, how each other works. We've all worked on each other's projects, like we've done Terrifier, where Damien was the director and I was the assistant director, right? And then we come over here and I'm the director and Damien's just doing special effects. We've all produced each other's stuff. Same with Marcus and my brother, and we started with Abnormal Attraction and down the line. So it just brings a level of what you're going to get, that you can count on these people, and it's going to be a good time as well, because you want to make sure that everyone is enjoying themselves as we're creating. Obviously it's business first, but that doesn't mean that there can't be a few laughs along the way, because if we didn't want to have fun doing this, we would be at a desk job and not making movies. So you don't have to take it too seriously.
And horror's fun anyway. Horror's great.
Horror's a lot of fun. Horror's, it's funny, we have the most laughs doing horror films. And it's so funny. I mean, maybe because the subject matter is so tense that when you break, you're just laughing. And, and when we do comedy movies, it's the most intense. The jokes are, there's not as much fun. And I love doing horror comedy films as well, because I like the reaction from the audiences to hear the eruption with laughter. But the sets aren't as fun. Maybe it's because you're constantly listening to jokes, you're just kind of sick of it. I don't know. It's just so strange.
Maybe you're just all joked out and it's oh.
Right.
I just need a break for a little bit. Whereas
right.
Horror, it's the other way. It's let's make fun of this now, because it was really
exactly. And every time we always say, damn, if we were making a comedy, we could have done this, because you always think of something fun and silly to do. And you're well, we can't do that.
That's brilliant. And so when you've done your lives before, you've said that there's new cast member that you're going to be getting. When are you announcing that? Because I've not seen anything, unless I've missed it, and then I'm going to look really weird.
We haven't announced yet. I'll break something on here for you. There are a few cast members that we haven't announced.
Oh, okay.
But we're only going to announce one of them that is left. So, I've been saying we're going to announce this one person. We're only going to announce one of the 3. We're deciding which one we're going to announce. And we're coming close. If you actually dig through certain files of the internet, some people are making their assumptions, and certain videos they're kind of pegging and saying, okay, I think it's this person based on this or that, and I'm not confirming or denying it's that person or not. But we're going to announce soon. Again, with all of Terrifier and everything, and trying to get stream finished, and it's kind of taken a back seat, because of all the craziness that's been going on. But we will be announcing soon who that person is. But like I said, there is more than one person, and you'll just have to see the movie to find out who those others are.
That's very like
we
I'm so
gotta hold,
excited. I'm
we
like,
gotta hold something. We gotta hold something, right?
sure. Do you know when it's going to be released? I actually haven't got that on my notes, but I thought I'll ask while we're here.
Yeah, we're hoping for a year from now. We're hoping for next year. I mean, it's going to be next year, definitely. I just don't know when, because once the movie is done, it goes through this sales and distribution process, and shopping the film around, and that is its own little timetable that sadly we don't have control over. If I was to guess based on just what I've seen with Terrifier and what I've seen on other films that I've been a part of, it probably will be a year from now. They're going to want to capitalize on a horror movie being in the fall and all of that stuff. But again, that process, I'll know better once the salespeople start looking at it. But I got to finish the movie first. We have 2 days left of actual shooting. One big one and then one pickup day that's just a small crew. We're just going to, get an insert here, a small shot here to kind of tie everything together. And then once that's done, we're going to go through our final chopping phase to get this thing down to a tight runtime. And then it's, the little things like the color correction and the score and just polishing all that up. And then it goes off. So I would say safe, be on a lookout for a year from now is when it'll be out, that fall, October Halloween season.
That's the best time for horror movies to come out, to be fair. Everybody's
Yeah, everyone's in the mood. And listen, I'm always game for a horror movie, and I'm sure you are too.
Yeah.
But the general, people, the general moviegoers, they kind of get in the spirit in the fall, which we do too, but we're ready all year round. So I think for the film's sake and for it to be successful and for it to reach the masses, I think that is probably the smart way. But again, I could be wrong, and the distribution people get it. They're like, oh, we want it to come out in August. I don't know, or it's up to them.
Yeah. And what's happening with the Indiegogo? Is that nearly done? Or is people?
So we left, yeah. So it's winding down. It's basically finished. I'm not really promoting it much anymore. We left it open really for any of the stragglers of the horror community or anybody to say, okay, I missed it. I didn't have the funds at the time. I still want to get involved. So we're leaving it open slightly for that reason, just to let a few extra people jump on board if they so choose. But again, we are pulling back. We're dropping perks and stuff because there's certain perks, like to be in the movie. We only got like 1 day left, so it's hard to get people in a movie that you're no longer shooting. So there's perks that are going to be pulled down. But there's some things I'd like to keep up there until we finalize and end it, because like get a Blu-ray, that's something you could jump on board and get. So when it comes down, I'm not 100% sure, but it's going to be sooner than later, obviously, at this point. And again, just really doing it because I had a few people reach out and saying, please don't close it. And it doesn't, hurt us to keep it open at this point, to let, the few stragglers or anybody who does want to jump in that couldn't before jump in. And we'll see, I guess, once we make that announcement of who that last person is, maybe it might excite some people to say, oh, okay, let me, be a part of this. And, we'd be honored to have the more people involved, the better. It's one big family. And we really love to include anybody who wants to be part of our work to be a part of it. So.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely link it below for people to go.
Thank you.
Even just a little bit. Every little helps, doesn't it? So.
It does. It really, and especially with this pandemic that happened, we had to pull so much from the post-production budget to make sure that we kept everybody safe on set with HEPA filters and air purifiers and COVID tests and compliance officers and sanitizer and PPE. The list goes on. It was so much that you never had to do before. And as if independent, low-budget filmmaking isn't hard enough, you add that layer on top of it, it just becomes almost impossible. I know so many films that fell through or are not shooting because they're so discouraged about what all of this craziness. Luckily, it's dying down now, and it's getting better, but it's still not there yet. So we'll see. But yeah, so we had to try to recoup something to finish the movie, and we came up with this idea of, hey, why don't we open it up to the horror community and let them do this with us.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think there's a couple of perks I'm still looking at going, I need to get in there and get that before it goes. They had the cards.
Oh yeah, those are cool. Those are
really cool.
And those are going to be like a special Indiegogo limited edition thing that we're doing. And you know, again, it's that merchandise, and I think if these characters really become what I think they could become, it's definitely something cool to have as a collectible. And also, you know, you support the film too, so it's everybody wins.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to get my t-shirt and stuff. I'm like, "Hello." If I had one, I'd have wore it today, but
We just started putting together the prototypes on them, the t-shirts, and I got a copy of the first one. It's a quality t-shirt, and that's what we wanted to make sure it's not garbage quality. It looks good. So that's why we do these tests and we do these quality control runs, and it's got the face on it. It's really something awesome.
oh, that sounds wicked. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to getting my perks, I'm not gonna lie. But I had a little look on your IMDb, as you do, and I've seen, I can't believe I missed this. I've seen that obviously you did the Pennywise documentary, which looks amazing. I really want to watch that. But I didn't realize that you'd done one about like Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, did I miss that?
Yeah. Well, that one, the Robert Englund, it used to be called Icon. Now it's Hollywood Dreams and Nightmares and Dreams or something. That one just premiered in Spain, and it should be coming out to the masses. That's probably why you missed that because it's not out yet, but it's been premiering in like festivals and stuff. And it's got a ton of you know, horror actors and actresses and icons and stuff that are all talking about Robert, his career, Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's definitely something special that I think the horror community is really going to enjoy. And it's really interesting to see how it all kind of came about.
Yeah, and I mean he's awesome. Like we've had conversations about him. I think every time we speak, I'm like, Robert England, and you're like, hello. So you know, and I think you'd said when you'd done a live, and you said that you'd was it Fear Clinic?
Yes. Yep. I was a producer on Fear Clinic, and I played the young Robert Englund, Dr. Andover in that. And that was a fun, awesome movie that I was able to work on it was one of the first big feature films I got to work on. And I got to meet Robert and become friendly with Robert. And he's just a really awesome person. And you know, has great stories throughout his career, an impressive career, many years. So there's a ton to talk about. And he's just so nice and warm to everybody. And that's why if you ever have met him before or have gone to a convention he's at, his lines are so long because A, there's a million people that want to see him, but B, he talks to all of them for like 15 minutes each.
Don't say that. If you're ever at a convention, I'm like, I'll be there. I've never had the pleasure, unfortunately, and I'd love to because him and Wes Craven were my favorite, and obviously I've missed out on that. But you know, I'd love to see Robert Englund. I just think he's so talented and so smart. And
yeah,
and
he
he's
is a
nice
person, a really nice guy.
Yeah. What other projects are you doing? So sorry, I kind of overtook with that one, but what other stuff have you got going on?
Yeah, so there's a few things, obviously. I mean, there's a few projects that we have that we just don't know which one we're going to go with yet because we don't know if we're going to go into like a Terrifier 3 or we're going to go into a Stream 2 or, you know, those things are going to happen at some point. It's just, are they next? Are they after? Are we going to do a comedy in between? Are we going to do another horror film? So it's kind of up to debate on which one's going to happen. My first and foremost goal right now, and my main focus is stream, finish, get to the finish line, has to be out. You know, we want everyone to see it, everyone to enjoy it. But if anybody's looking for something else that we were a part of that came out within the last year, I don't know if you've seen it. It's a movie, low budget, very low budget, a film called Tenants Lane that Tyler Mane, who was Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie Halloweens, it was his movie really, and we partnered with him and we produced it. I actually have a small little role in it. I play Scout Taylor Compton's abusive boyfriend, and it's a fun little horror flick that we shot down in Georgia during 2016, 17, 18, like somewhere in that range. And it just got released to last year to Amazon and Tubi and all of that stuff. And John Schneider's in it from the Dukes of Hazzard. Danny Roebuck from the Munsters, the Grandpa Munster. He's also in our film. He's in it. That's where I met him. And it's just a fun little small town horror movie where everyone's kind of watching you always, and you know what's going on. And there's kind of a deep, dark secret under this kind of happy-go-lucky southern town, always bright and sunny. You know. So if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It was, again, low budget, not gory, nothing like Terrifier in that regard, but it is a cool little flick.
Oh, I'll have to have a look out for that one. It sounds like my cup of tea, to be honest. I like interest in sort of different horror movies sort of thing. So
Yeah,
anything
it's
that's
definitely different. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely different, and it takes a twist that you might not necessarily expect. And again, Tyler Mane, he's got a great resume, and he really spearheaded this thing. And director Peter Engert, you can look up some of his work. He's a talented filmmaker, and again, real low budget movie, but I think there's some substance there, and you get to see me in the film.
It's like, we'll see you get your head cut off again or something.
I can't say.
Because I know. I always like when I instantly think when I think, oh, I see Michael's on, and I go, oh yeah, and I think of your head.
The funny story is, so this is this is from Terrifier. This was my head. It's not painted. It was the second copy. It doesn't have the facial hair and it's not painted, but that was my head from the mold for Terrifier that they ended up splitting. And then I get all these cool little things of like,
oh my god, look at these.
Terrifier stuff. Yeah. And then I got a gift that was sent. This is a salt and pepper shaker of Art the Clown and myself.
They're kind of adorable, I'm not gonna lie.
And then
They're cute.
these Funko things, like, so it's definitely crazy.
Oh, that's really cool. Sorry, I'm like proper like near enough peering through the camera there. Trying to
That's okay. And if anybody's seen Abnormal Attraction, I'll just give you this visual. This is Finbar. This is my brother from the film.
That's amazing.
It's a comedy.
I've not seen it. I find it really hard to try and get it in the UK. Like,
Oh, really? Yeah, it's got. They should have it there because it's got Malcolm McDowell in it, and Gilbert Gottfried is in it, and Leslie Easterbrook from Police Academy. Really, Tom Hanks's brother, Academy Award nominated actor Bruce Davis, and Tyler Mane. So maybe check. I don't know. Again, UK it's different. I don't know. But maybe Amazon you could try. You could check, or Tubi. I don't know if you guys have that. But Amazon, it might be there now, so you could check it there.
I have to have a look for that because I know I was like looking through Netflix and Amazon and a few other UK ones, and it was just not on there. I was like, oh, it's so annoying because like you want to bring these things to interviews and go blah 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 blah, and it's like I got nothing for you.
Yeah. I think it's on Amazon there. I think. Let me know if you find it.
I will do. Yeah. Definitely, and I'll post it up as well, like the link to it underneath in the video description as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So how did you get into like movie making and all that fun stuff?
So I really was always interested as a kid. I remember watching Leprechaun, Halloween, if we're talking horror stuff, Back to the Future, Dick Van Dyke, comedy stuff, and just really Jim Carrey, just really kind of being enthralled at first, the in front of the camera stuff, the acting, and just kind of what went into it. Then I would take my mom's camera with my brothers and we would film little movies and kind of teach ourselves. And then I went to high school and kind of continued and moved more towards the behind the scenes aspect of it. Even though I still do some in front of the camera stuff, but mostly behind the scenes stuff, producing, directing, and things like that. And then again, just kind of stuck with it through college, and then basically just created a path and said, I want to do this, more seriously, and started a company with my brother and my business partner, Steve Delasala, who I went to school with all through grammar school, high school, and college. And, just started doing it and just started making short films, and then eventually features, started working on other people's projects, doing commercials, doing music videos. And then one thing led to the other. And then I was like, hey, we want to make a movie. All right, how do we do this? Well, we'll figure it out. And it was just kind of like that path. I did go to film school for a little bit, graduated with a degree in television and film and a minor in business, and kind of used all those tools and just that mindset of I'm going to figure it out and get it done. And that's kind of how it evolved and happened. But it was sort of a really young age, at like 4 years old. I remember I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I just stayed focused on that.
Was there any like sort of one film where you watched and you went, I want to do that? That's the one for me.
It's hard for me to pinpoint. Like, I know if you talk to so many different people in the film business, they say that was the moment the light clicked on, right? Damien talks about it all the time. Like, he knows his exact movie, his moment, where he was sitting. I can't pinpoint the exact film. I can pinpoint the films. you know, I could say for horror and being interested in that, I know it was Halloween, Nightmare, and Leprechaun. Those are always like my top three that kind of expose, and Stephen King's It. Those are the ones that kind of exposed me to you know, horror and wanting to do horror. And then those actors like Tim Curry and Robert Englund and stuff, Warwick Davis. And then if it's the comedy aspect and just movie making in general, it was just, you know, watching Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and you know, seeing that mystical, magical element, and like, oh, how did they do that trick? How did they make that happen? You know, and then kind of graduated into Jim Carrey stuff, and so it was a combination of all of that. I think overload sensory for me, and I was just like, look what they're doing, and look how magical this is, and the Wizard of Oz, and it was like, I want to do that. I want to make that magic. I want to know how to do that, and I want to do, you know, be in front of the camera and dance and sing and get killed and whatever. So it was just kind of a visceral experience of all of that kind of colliding for me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I remember like my love of horror. I mean, I think the first one I seen was Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and I was like, blew my mind.
Yeah, and it's got that fantasy element to it and that magical element, but that horror too, and it's really nicely put together. And you know, that's something we went for with Terrifier 2. It's very fantastical and very you know, not like the first one in that sense. Like the first one's very grungy, and the movie's grungy and it's brutal and it's gory. But this film, Terrifier 2, there's a lot of fantasy element to it, and I think when you see it, you might be able to compare it, at least in feeling, to what Nightmare on Elm Street 3 did for the franchise.
Oh, beautiful. I adore that film. I think it's honestly a piece of like horror movie perfection. Really.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. It is. It's hard. That's the best Nightmare on Elm Street one. It's hard to top. It's hard to beat. It's so well done. Story, script, idea, everything came to a point with that movie.
Oh yeah, me and David have like gone a bit crazy over that before. When we did our interview, we were just like blah, 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 at it for ages. So.
Oh, it's so good.
Eh?
I said so good. Yeah, it's so good.
Brilliant. Yeah, it really is. It's awesome. Have you got any sort of like fun behind the scenes? It could be anything that you've done, like funny stories or interesting things that maybe we won't know about. It's like,
yeah,
how long
it's a tough one, right? I'm trying to think of a good one. There's just so many that my mind starts going. I will give, this is not a behind the scenes thing. Well, so for Terrifier 2, funny thing is, three things really with that. So one, this is just a trivia question, that I'm actually in the film and you hear my voice in the movie. And I'm curious to see if you pick it up without researching what it is, or if you research what it is, if you hear it or know it. Because a lot of people have actually found it or have heard it, and I was like, wow, that was pretty interesting. When I heard it in the theaters, I heard it very loud and clear, but I knew it was coming. So I'm just curious. That's just a side trivia thing. But for shooting Terrifier, we had days that we literally shot 23 hours straight. And then we would go to sleep for like 2 or 3 hours and then literally wake up and go back to like an 18-hour day. It was totally insane. It was tiresome, but again, if we didn't have the crew that we had and the fun that we had, it would have probably been brutal and on the verge of wanting to just quit because it was so much. But because it was such a great group, because it was so much fun, because we believed in the project and we believed in what we were doing, no one complained. Everybody enjoyed it. Everybody loved being there. Funny story about that, just because it's popular and recent with what's going on with Terrifier, is we were shooting in a laundromat, and there's big glass windows that you can see out to the street. And Dave was in the laundromat, full costume, bloody and everything, and he would go in and out of the laundromat, in and out. Somebody must have saw him as he was going in and out or through the windows, and the cops all showed up. And we had to take like 20 minutes to explain to them we're just shooting a movie, and they got a kick out of it after it was all said and done. But this was actually the second time that this had happened, because it happened on Terrifier 1 as well, where he was outside of like the warehouse and somebody called the cops, and then all the cops came with their guns drawn. Dave will tell this story about 100 times, and probably better than I will, but it's just funny that both movies the cops were called and showed up because of how David Howard Thornton looked in the Art the Clown makeup. I mean, I get it. you look out your window or you're driving and you see that, there's some issues if you don't know that we're filming a movie around the corner.
Yeah. I mean, it could be worse. I've heard about the laundromat scene. So it could
It's
be worse.
crazy.
At least he was in his costume.
So this must be a Dave thing, because another behind the scenes, this is for stream.
Yep.
We're shooting in the hotel. The whole movie takes place pretty much in this hotel, right? And apparently a guest had checked in. Now, this was during COVID, so there really was nobody staying in at the hotels, and we were pretty much quarantined there. But there was one weekend where a couple of guests, like when I say a couple, I mean like 2 or 3 people showed up, and they were staying in one of the wings of the hotel. And I said, hey, let's just get a bunch of shots of Dave's character and the mask and everything, skipping around the hall or creeping around the hall or whatever, and looking in peepholes. And so he passes by this door. Some woman's on the other side, screams bloody murder. The door opens up. She's got a gun through the peephole. Literally, thank God she came out and like saw what was happening, talked to her. She goes, oh my God, I almost shot you. It was that intense. Like, and we were like, what? Because also we're in like the middle of Pennsylvania where the gun laws are much less strict. You know, you have the right to carry, I believe. And so that would have been an interesting, but that was something that was really scary and funny at the same time. And Dave was like, no, lifts up the man. He's like, it's a movie. He's like, but it worked. The fact that you were scared. He goes, Mike, I think we got something here. People are going to be scared.
Oh my God, that would have been so awkward. Like, oh,
It was. And then the woman and her family came out and watched the shoot. But the funny part is the hotel didn't tell them we were shooting a movie. Like we were there for a month already shooting, and they said they would let their guests know, but they didn't have guests for so long because it was, again, we had it quarantined, and the hotel was basically shut down for us. They never really had guests, and I guess when they finally had 2 or 3 people, it just slipped their mind that, oh yeah, by the way, there's a movie being shot here, which you think would be number one, but they didn't. She and the family had no idea, and they had a gun pointed at him for the people.
David's like cursed.
I know.
There's trouble on set.
No, he is. We got to be careful around him. And it always involves something like that, where it's like, hey, he's doing something right, I guess. But yeah, so then we let the family come out and watch, and it was cool.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Cool. Got them on camera behind the scenes talking about it.
Oh, I know so many people are going to find that really funny. Like, I'll have to bring it up next time I speak to him. I'm like, did you not spot this time? Are you okay?
Yeah, he could probably go off on it for a little bit.
Oh yeah, he was good fun to interview. To be fair, he was really chatty like that.
Yeah.
So I want to do a thing when I do interviews now, especially like horror ones. Like the horror community is so close knit, I think, and like I think that way that you find new films and new, just we share information with each other. I think that's how I found Terrifier the first time, because I didn't see it when it first came out, and somebody had told me about this scene, the hacksaw scene that everybody knows, and so it's great to share them. So I want to do a thing called a movie swap. So is there any horror movie or movies that you've seen recently you thought that needs to be seen? And I'll give you a couple back.
I do. I just wish I could remember the name of this one that I just watched the other day. Maybe you can help me with it. I'll tell you the plot if you know of it. I think it's not Intruder or it's Inheritance. Maybe it's about the girl's father who dies, and then she gets the property and everything. And there's there's a thing that's going on that's hidden in the basement. Right. That movie I really enjoyed. That's one that I think people should see. It was again, it wasn't too crazy horror, but I think it was a fun movie that I just didn't expect. Sometimes you just pop in films and you're just like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one. I want to see Smile. I want to see Barbarian. I want to see Pearl. I haven't seen those yet. Those are definitely ones that I want to check out. I've heard some great things, especially about Pearl and Smile. So I want to see those. And I just started, I got to finish it. I usually watch movies in one sitting, but I got caught up, is this one on Netflix. It's like a PG-13 horror film about, it's called something with a phone. Mr. Harrigan's Phone or something like that. Just came out. It's looks interesting. Like this boy is taking care of this older man, and the older man ends up passing, but he bought him a cell phone before, and they buried him with the phone, and the phone is texting him back. Little kid, and I don't know where it's gonna go. I watched most of it, but then got to like where the horror is starting to kick in. And then movie X, I thought that was a really good film,
I've seen
and
that.
that was cool. So it's hard for me to remember names of films, I guess it seems. But yeah, those are some stuff that I can think off the top of my head that are new.
Okay. Mine would be, so they're both, one's Korean, I'm pretty sure it's Korean, just where I'm gonna get annihilated for not knowing where it's from. But Train to Busan.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yes. Oh, it's such a great film. It's beautiful. It was shot amazing. It was
So good.
heart-wrenching.
They're making a new one. They're making an Americanized version now called like I think it's Train to New York or something. But that movie was really. It took me a long time to get to watch that one because like I'm the worst with subtitles. But then finally I was like, you know what? I need to see this. Everyone's talking about it. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was so good.
Everything about it. That little girl.
Yeah.
So talented. And my second one would be a British film called Mum and Dad, not to be confused with the Nicolas Cage. I think it's Selma Hayek. No, it's not Selma Hayek. Selma Blair. Wrong Selma. And it's quite a gritty, independent British film, and it's kind of messed up. So
Mom and Dad, it's called.
Mum and Dad, yeah.
I have to see that. I'll check it out.
It's quite disturbing, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I'm always looking for it, and I'm glad you do this segment because I'm always looking for new horror stuff to watch, and stuff that's good that like people have seen. There's so much horror that's out there that's not great, and it's just you get kind of caught watching this, and you're like, ugh, wasted a whole night or a whole couple. I try not to turn the films off. I try to give the filmmaker a chance, and see the whole vision straight through. Most of the time, I do. There's very few times I do turn it off, but that's where for me it's just not working at all. So I'm glad that you do this and that they come with recommendations because it'll give me something to do to watch.
And if you can get them, it's even better. But honestly, Mum and Dad, it's messed up. It's a very dark movie, but I like a bit of dark.
Awesome. I can't wait to check it out.
Yeah. And then my other two little segments I do. Is there any actors that you would love to work with? I mean, you can do it behind the camera. I suppose it was like I was thinking more like for actors, but just anybody in the horror community that you would love to work with that you've not had the chance to yet.
Yes, a ton. We'll stick with horror. I'd love to. So even though I've worked with Robert Englund before, I played the younger version of him. I would love to direct Robert in a project. That's probably one of my number one things I would love to do. Just because I know how talented he is, and I'd like to bring something different to him, and let him run with it. I've seen the creative process he has, and I think it's something that would be fun to explore together in the creative, the beginning creative processes of things. So he's definitely number one on the list for me. There was another person, I'm not going to say who it is, for a reason that you'll find out down the road. But there was another person that was number one. It's either 1A or 1B, like him and Robert. They were right there. And I just had the chance of working with this person on a film that every horror fan knows, every horror fan loves. So gracious. It was one of the highlights of my life to be able to do this and to be able to get the performance from this person in a film and to direct this person. I can't wait to say who it is, but so I'm going to mention that person that way without saying it, but we'll talk more when it's revealed who that person is. I'd also like to work with Warwick Davis from Leprechaun. I'd like to work with Bruce Campbell. Obviously, he seems to be really cool and down to earth. I see you have Jack Nicholson down there. That's freaking awesome, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But here's a cool one. Last two people I'll say is, and they're not necessarily horror, I guess, but they've done horror stuff. One is Christopher Lloyd. I would absolutely love to work with. He's an incredible talent, somebody that is out of this world. And Joe Pesci is the other one I would love to do.
I love Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
And, I always find him quite, like, he's kind of scary, like, You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't look much. Like, he's not this big brute guy, but I think he could skill
It's
it.
all here. He plays those psychotic characters, and he goes off, and he could be brutal. But he's an incredible actor, and he's retired and done some little things for friends and stuff. But he's someone that would be amazing to work with. I'm sure it'd probably be tough, but what an experience, and just getting whatever you get from him is all gold. So.
Yeah. There's some really good ones actually. Like you were going this one, I'm like, yeah. You're like this one, I'm like, yeah. So yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, definitely. And then my last question is favorite horror movie kills, because that's what we come for, isn't it?
Wow, favorite horror movie kills.
You can do a few. You don't have to just stick to one, because I wouldn't be able to do one.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I liked, okay, this one's just, it's not my number one or anything. I'm just gonna go through them in like a random order that they pop into my head.
Mhm.
I like the one from Friday the 13th where the spear comes through the neck. I think that was right. That was really cool and well done.
Yeah.
And we're gonna leave off Terrifier ones. So no
Okay.
hash. That was a really fun one. I like also the kill in was it Scanners where the head explodes? And that's a really cool one. I also like when they did it in Halloween 6 where they have the guy electrocuting, his head explodes.
Yeah.
Those are always fun, gory, crazy kills. Leprechaun was a cool kill in 3 where the girl's boobs are growing big and everything's growing big. It's a fun one. She explodes. So those are like cool explosion ones. Let's see. I want to give like cool ones.
Mhm.
Like unique ones, because like there's so many great ones. I mean the Freddy Krueger. I mean there's so many with Freddy Krueger that I like, but obviously the one on the ceiling where she's in the first one, where she's rolling on the ceiling. And I just think because that process to shoot that was so difficult, where they had this rotating room, number one, but then visually what that is and how that must have felt in 1984 when this thing came out, and seeing her dragged across the ceiling, just that visual I think was something awesome and unique and cool. So yeah, I mean there's just, horror's got so many great creative unique avenues that you can kind of kill someone, which is like crazy to say, like where your human mind goes.
Yeah.
So like I said, there's not like every one of them. It's always cool to kind of see where they go. I like the kills also in 2001 Maniacs. You ever see that movie with Robert Englund?
I love that. I've got it on DVD. It is one of the coolest
It's like a
ones.
fun little horror campy comedy kill thing, and like all of them are like just so bizarre, like where they pull the guy's legs apart with the horses, and they crush the other guy and his eyes pop out. It's like so campy, but it's fun. It's just fun blood and gore stuff. Yeah. What are yours?
Brilliant movie. Oh God. I'm trying to think of actually 2001 Maniacs one. I'm trying to think. I mean, just for the comical thing, it was the Ricky on the sticky, and then you've got Lin Shaye going licking.
Yeah. That was one I was going to bring up too. Ricky on a sticky.
Oh, that was hilarious. I was like, I wasn't expecting. I was like, oh, you went there, okay. So I was like, wow, that's a good one. I'm trying to think of my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street one. I mean, I have to agree, the one with the room, and especially when she's like, lifted up and he just goes, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I know. There's also the ear one everyone talks about when he's scratching the is that in 5 where he's scratching the thing and the guy's going crazy?
Yeah, definitely. I like that one.
The strings in 3, the puppet.
Yeah. The other one I like, I was actually just talking to Marcus about this because we were having a little horror movie rant, and we were talking about Jeepers Creepers, and I have to say, this is such spoiler if nobody's seen it, but the end where the creepers took Justin Long's head off and he just looked at his eye. Oh,
that one definitely, I remember that when it came out and seeing that, and that one definitely resonated and like stuck with you.
It did,
for sure.
yeah. And it still gives me, I was just talking about it, I got goosebumps. I was like, oh. It's proper creepy. But I love the fact that that's Justin Long under the creeper makeup as well, just like for his eye. It's brilliant.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to think if there's any more. There's loads, honestly.
It's hard to think off the spot. Yeah.
Yeah. I really did put you in the spot. I probably should next time when I do these, because this is the first trial run of these, maybe give them a heads up first so they can have a little think. But yeah. But yeah, but thank you so much, though. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Oh, I enjoyed being on your show and chatting with you, getting to see you in person. It's great that we're able to do this now, and we're how far apart we are, and to come together and just talk about what we love together, movies and horror. And you did a great job. And again, it was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I get to see David next weekend at the Manchester Horror Convention, so I'll say hello to them there. But hopefully, I'll see you there one day.
Hopefully, yeah, it'd be nice for them to bring us in one day soon. But have fun with that.
I will
Hope
do.
it goes well. I've been hearing great things about that show. So just have a blast and enjoy it.
I will do. And all the Nightmare on Elm Street is like everybody from my old favorite horror movies are there. So you got Fright Night, the original cast.
Yep.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Heather Langenkamp's there. Must Not Cry. Daniel Harris is there. Like I'm obsessed.
Danielle, if you see her, tell her I said hello or mention Stream to her. Let her know you're waiting for it.
Yeah, we will do. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Or evening.
Evening, yeah, evening. I like
Bye.
how I had to check. Thank you so much, though.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.